Hey y'all! We are going to talk about the MRP designation or certification, so to speak. I have the certification through the National Association of Realtors, and it's pretty important. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about it and let you know what it's about, how to get it, what to do next. I am literally going to read some of this off of the National Association of Realtors page so that there is no he said, she said about it. If you've ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes in a real estate transaction, you're in the right place. Whether it's the nail-biting negotiations, the crazy twists and turns throughout a transaction, or the moments that just make you want to pull your hair out, it's all going to be shared. I'm Brittney Frye, and I am the host of the Closing Chapters podcast. Here, we are going to talk about my career transaction by transaction since 2016. And we're also going to go through all of the golden nuggets that I've learned along the way that I would love to share with you. I want to shape your reality in real estate to a world that you can be confident, educated, and make really wonderful decisions for your financial future and build a real estate portfolio. No matter if you are a real estate investor, a first-time home buyer, or a luxury buyer, there's something to be had in this podcast. You're going to see throughout the series that military is really my heart. That is my niche, and if you are a military buyer or seller, you will thrive listening to this podcast. So, grab a seat at the closing table and let's close some chapters. So, what is the MRP certification and who's it for? It says the Military Relocation Professional certification is for real estate professionals who want to work with current and former military service members. The MRP certification program educates realtors about working with U.S. service members and their families and veterans to find housing solutions that best suit their needs and to take full advantage of available benefits and support. What are the benefits of having this certification? From NAR, they say that it's to understand the processes and procedures involved in a military relocation and how these impact service members' relocation and housing choices. That's huge, right? A lot of times when military members are relocating, their choices can be little to none, right? Depending on their time frame and what they're trying to accomplish or what they need to do, the budget they're working with, right? Sometimes they go to these huge cities like Colorado Springs where the price point is astronomical compared to South Carolina, okay? And all of a sudden they don't know how to afford life. And you can say, oh, well, their housing allowance goes up. Yeah, not enough. I mean, end of story. It just doesn't. It doesn't make up the difference. Doesn't make up the gap. So there's a lot to be had there. And sometimes their scenarios are very different. I mean, what if they're coming from overseas and they want to have a house waiting for them when they get there? That's a totally different transaction than having somebody 5 minutes down the road that can come with you and see all these houses. So the next thing was ability to provide information to help members through a rent or buy, sell or buy decision-making process. So should I rent or should I purchase a home? And then when it's time to go, should I keep that home and rent it out or should I sell it? The next thing is the ability to identify and provide services that help service members sell or find and purchase suitable homes. The knowledge of the military relocation process you need to guide service members through the real estate transaction. The ability to explain the basics of VA financing. Basics, my friends. I am not a lender. If you are not a lender, you need to stick with the basics. We should not be speaking on behalf of a lender. We should not pretend like we know what's going on in the lender world if we don't. I stay very in my lane when it comes to this. I have my lenders that I work with and that I trust and that I go to every single time to get the information, and they are my trusted source, just like we are the trusted source for real estate. So they're going to call us and ask us about the houses and the market and stuff like that, and we're going to call them and say, hey, I don't know about this criteria for the loan, can you help me? I don't know about these rates and what's going on with it, can you help me? What programs are available right now, can you help me? Don't pretend to be the lender unless you are licensed as a lender and a realtor, which there are some people that are. If you are in that special category, then kudos to you for playing both sides of the coin and having to wear both hats. But if you are not, then don't pretend to be someone you're not. All right, the next benefit is access to the members-only marketing tools and resources. So after you complete the certification program, you're going to have a little designation logo that you can put on all of your marketing materials, and then there's going to be some networking opportunities like a Facebook page and some other things that they provide to you to help you after you have the certification. And then the last benefit they mention is the Relocation Professional Certification Core Course is an approved elective for the Accredited Buyers Representative designation. The ABR designation is another National Association of Realtors designation that is fantastic. It is in depth about how we should really be running our business and working for buyers, setting ourselves up for success. I learned a lot from it. I just took it recently and I'm 8.5 years into the business, and I was like, okay, I need to make some changes here. It was really eye-opening. Some of it you're like, yep, like I got that. But some of the other things, there's always a different perspective. There's always something that you can tweak or shift or introduce into your world to make your business, one, a well-oiled machine, two, systematic, and I guess it's kind of, same, but anyways, 3, legally in the right, and then 4, to make sure that we are seriously serving our clients to the best of our abilities. So, how do we earn this special certification? First, you're going to take a 6-hour class, and you can do it either online or in the classroom. I took mine online, and I'm going to tell you the caveat to taking it online. The next thing it says is pass the exam at the end of the course with an 80% or better for the online course only. So one of the downfalls to taking everything online, even though you can do it self-paced and come in and out as you please, is that you always have to pass quizzes and tests in order to get past the courses. When you go to the in-person courses, a lot of times they are all working together where you are going through questions together as a class and collaborating, or because you're engaged and you had to be sitting there in person, you get to bypass like the testing process because they know that you were there for the material, right? Not just clicking through all the screens. So you also have to be a member in good standing with the National Association of Realtors. So you have to be a realtor. There are real estate agents that are not realtors. It is an additional level saying that we are going to abide by a specific code of ethics and hold ourselves to a higher standard. And most real estate agents happen to be realtors. Most companies require you to be realtors. Most multiple listing systems, in order to be a part of them, or not the multiple listing systems, but the local board of realtors require you to be a National Association of Realtor member as well. And you do have to submit an application and a one-time fee of $195 for the application fee. Now it does say that you have to pay $75 a year to keep all of your NAR designations and certifications active. I have multiple of these, and I can't remember right now if I have to pay $75 for each designation or $75 a year just to keep all designations. So if I get some clarification on that, I'll come back and comment on the video and let you know in the future. So that's really it. But the one thing that's kind of cool too is on the bottom of this page where it talks about what it is to be an MRP and how to get there. And several of the NAR pages, NAR is National Association of Realtors, that talk about this MRP certification, there's a link to click that says find an MRP certified realtor. So you are now in a searchable network, again, being separated, designated for this thing. So if an agent that is working with a military client out in Texas doesn't have someone in South Carolina, they can go in here, type the city in South Carolina, and it'll give them a list of anybody that has this designation. Do you think that could be helpful if you want to work with military clientele? I happen to think so. So that is kind of the rundown on what the certification is and how do you get it. Now, just like anything else, right, when you take the initial courses to get your real estate license, it gives you the basics, it gives you the overall legal view, what you need to know, forms you need to know, processes, how to get the transaction done from A to Z. But it doesn't really teach you how to get the clients, what things could happen during a transaction, how to navigate all of the muddy waters, how you can stand out above the crowd and be your own person and excel. There's a lot there that's not said, and you really can't customize it to every single person. But what I'm here to say is that this is a great starting point, and then there's more. until you really get out in the world and start working with a bunch of military clients, you're not going to know the ins and outs of their world. You just aren't. You're going to come across some different scenarios and figure out some different ways to be creative. But what's super important here is I just told you there's a whole network of MRP certification agents, right? So that Facebook page, other resources. When you come across these issues or hurdles along the way, you really need to lean into other agents that have worked with military and see if there's a good solution so that you are doing the best that you can for your client. There are always some really unique situations that are going on. For instance, if you understand that military cannot order movers, TMO, to come until after they have hard orders. So if a seller is selling their house, but they do not have hard orders for their next destination as of yet, and you are under contract and supposed to be closing on X date, if they cannot schedule the movers, then how are they getting their belongings out of the property? What does that look like? What can you do to help? That's just a scenario. And I'm not going to go through what I would do at this point, but I have several options that I would have in my back pocket, and I would have been preemptive of that whenever I was writing the contract. So that's just one example of something that could happen when you're in a transaction that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And if you're used to working with non-military people, they get movers and do it themselves. But in the military world, if you want the military to move you, there's certain criteria that you have to meet in order for that to happen. Or you are going to foot the cost up front and figure it out and hope that the military pays you back in retrospect. And not everybody is up for that. So anyhow, I just want to say, like, hey, remember, there's always going to be a thing. There's always going to be something that shows up. But I also want to remind you of a couple of the ways that you can utilize the certification. Like, cool, I got this fancy MRP behind my name. What do I do now with my alphabet soup? And the starting point is, one, utilize it, show people that you've got it. So let it be a reason for somebody to ask, like, what is that? What does that stand for? Oh, let me tell you all about it. Or you're going to put it on social media. I just earned my Military Relocation Professional certification. I love working with military clientele, and I am so proud to say that I have honed in on my skill set, I've sharpened my tools, and I'm ready to help you with all of your real estate needs in the military realm. It's a perfect excuse just to get out in front of people and say, hey, I did a thing, and I'm here to serve you. I took time and put forth effort to do something specifically for you, military clients, because I want to be the best that I can be for you. So you can preach that all day long. And then, what should we do next? So one thing that comes to mind for me is that we should go to our local military installations, especially if you have access to them, and go to the housing office and say, hey, so I have my MRP certification, and I would really love to be of value to the members of this installation. Is there any opportunities that I can have to talk to some of the military families or military members on housing opportunities for veterans? So they might have plenty of opportunities. Did you know every person that has to in-process into a base has to sit through kind of like an introduction day where they have all these different peoples from all these different categories telling them about all of the local things or things that pertain to that base, and housing tends to be one of them. Did you know that a lot of times if they are not going to apply for on-base housing, sometimes they have to sign waivers, or sometimes they have to get commanders to sign off saying that they're okay to purchase a home before they get there? There's a lot of different criteria going on in the background. So you have a lot of opportunities to help educate and be in front of that and just be that trusted value, right? You can be a trusted advisor that is just bringing value to the table, and it will come back to you every single time. So we are telling the world that we are MRP certified. We have went to the base and said, hey, I am a resource. Use me, please. What can we do next? Well, for me, I feel that as an MRP certification specialist, I am a liaison for the military base and the community. I want to connect with military members. I want them to be a part of this community and thrive. I want them to feel like they are home. So every time there's a community event that I could be a part of, I'm going to be there because more than likely there will be military members there. And especially when there's some bigger events that might be happening on the military installation. For instance, a lot of times during July 4th and the holidays, like during the winter holidays, they usually have really big events on the installations. So if you have an opportunity to volunteer or sponsor that event, then you get to be there and you get to see everybody and just say, thank you for your service. I so appreciate you and everything that you do. And if I can ever be of any help, I'm here. Right? It doesn't need to go any further than that unless they take it further. When you go to these events, it is just an opportunity to show your appreciation and allow them to start a conversation if they so choose. Or say, hey, let's connect and talk another time. I would love to talk about this with you. So remember that the events are not there for you just to wheel and deal and put clients in your pocket. May that happen as an effect of being there? Sure. But don't go in with that mindset. And the same thing if you're going to go to the housing office. You are there to provide value. And everybody's going to start talking about you and knowing you. And the fact that you are known is what's going to get you clientele. So it's not necessarily that you're going to the base and talking to people. You may or may not get clients from that, but you're going to get a reputation and people are going to know you, and then they're going to start to trust you, and then they're going to start to refer you. So that's all very important. So these are my top 3 tips on how to get started with your MRP certification. And I think it's really important that you take this to the next level and make sure that you are always networking and communicating with other agents and utilizing that to your advantage to create a really great referral foundation. And I talk a lot more about that on my Elevate Freedom training platform. And I have a guide on both of those steps for you have your MRP designation or certification. Now what? So it kind of lists out those 3 items for you step by step. And I have a guide that's like the 5 steps to really get going with your military real estate career. So if you are ready to niche down and you really want consistent clientele in that military world, there's 5 steps that you can do that can help lead you to that consistent, steady road and not be doing cold calls, blind leads, paying for leads online. If you're a military spouse, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. Being in the competition on the spouses pages. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people that will come onto the military spouse pages for each installation and say, hey, I need a realtor. And 350 people will respond immediately. And there's no way you're going to compete with that. I mean, and it just becomes a he said, she said, who got their name put in there so many times. And usually they're just contacting the first person that commented. And that's not the way that we want to receive clients. We want clients from a warm source, right? We want a level of trust already instilled in us, and we want a connection because then it makes everything so much smoother. So I work solely by referral. So everybody that comes to me was introduced to me from somebody else, from a prior client, from a family member, from another agent. And that is how I do my business solely. And that allows me to do a lot of other things that I want to do, like be home with my kiddos or work on Elevate Freedom training or take trips with our family when we can, because we're an active duty military family. So you know how that goes. You get a pocket of time and it's like, go, disappear, be gone, do what you can do while you can in this 2-week window, because as soon as it's done, who knows when you're getting to go anywhere anytime soon again. So anyhow, I love that. And as a mom, it brings a lot of security to me, knowing that I have a connection of somebody else that knows somebody. And it's typically one of those conversations where it's like, hey, if Bob trusts you, I do too. Bob took great care of me out in Colorado, so I know that you'll take great care of me here. And that's an amazing feeling. And they are some of the best clients that I've ever gotten to work with because they know the ropes or they have that connection and they kind of know what to expect from you. Because a lot of times as realtors, we like to, oh goodness, what is that saying? I don't know, birds with the same feathers flock together, something like that, something that nature. Anyhow, we like to kind of find other realtors that work like we do, that have the same alignment as us, that have the same morals, have the same communication styles. So a lot of times when we're passing referrals to one another, it's very smooth sailing because it's like hand off to another version of you, which is pretty amazing. I absolutely love it. So I can't wait to tell you more about that. But like I said, if you want to know more about that or you want to get a hold of one of these guides, or both of the guides, then take a look over at Elevate Freedom Training, and I will put the links down below in the show notes, and come follow us and learn all things military real estate related, or get signed up for the guides and stay on our newsletter and get more information as it comes along. But anyways, I hope this was super helpful. I know it can be really interesting when you get a certification, you're like, cool, this is great. I spent this time and this money, and then now what does it get me? Like, how do I actually utilize it to my benefit? So here you go, friends. I hope you have a great day, and I cannot wait to talk to you soon.